Good evening, ghouls and fiends. Welcome once again to another edition of the Minsitry of Horror. I forgot to hit record, so while it's streaming, it wasn't recording. Anyway, trying to multitask, trying to get socials out there. You know, all of that kind of stuff, and blah blah blah. And let's just post that. Just getting any old thing posted. Yeah, we're live currently on twitch.tv/Tezz doing a live show. We haven't done one of these in a minute, as they say. But I was quite keen to jump back in because I did a bit of a live game the other day, and that was a hell of a lot of fun. And so I figured, you know what, I haven't got any plans this Friday. Let's jump on. Let's do a stream. I've watched a couple of films now, so we can talk about that. And also, it looks like there's plenty of horror news. Just realised I haven't got my lights on. Very poor form from me. Very poor form. But, yeah. I hope everyone's been good. Fran's in the chat. Hey, Fran. How's it going? The first Scream 7 trailer has been released. Interested in your thoughts on that? Yes. So, that hadn't been one of the things that I'd picked up in the news, but I don't actually appear to have my audio. So, if you're watching the stream, you'll probably notice there's been a bit of a gap between transitions before it goes onto this live screen, and that's because everything seems to have de-linked itself in my streaming software. I'm not entirely sure how that has happened. At first I thought, oh shit, has have the source data been deleted in error because I'm an idiot most of the time, but no, it's there. it's got the right directory path but isn't actually linked up, which is weird. But yeah, as Fran mentions, the Scream 7 trailer. Yeah, I think it looks kind of interesting. I kind of feel like more of the same. I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. I mean, I know it's not. I don't think it's radio silence this time, and I know obviously there was the whole hubbub about Melissa Barrera and Jenna Ortega, their absence, and some negativity on Neve Campbell because of that. And at the end of the day, of course, everyone's entitled to their thoughts and feelings on these matters outside of the film, but I'm just focusing on the film. As a horror fan, horror series fan, I try to ignore all that outside of the film stuff. Is my very uneloquent way of approaching that. Yeah, in terms of the trailer, I think it looks kind of interesting enough. This survivor element with the daughter being targeted, all the theories on people wearing the blue checkered shirts or blue checkered items of clothing being the killers, and yeah, I mean there is a bit of a history of that in the series, so maybe that's sort of given things away a little bit for who one or the killers will be in the film. I know obviously we've got Matthew Lillard back, and the chap, is it Scott Foley who played Roman? I may have got the actor wrong there, but the chap who played Roman in part 3 is back. I am just sort of hoping that it will just be a case of like dream sequences or something like that. I mean, I know they introduced in 5 and 6 the whole kind of concept of being able to see the mental illness aspect for Melissa Barrera's character, and that she was seeing her deceased dad, Billy. Maybe that will continue over, as that's sort of now been established in the series. Being able to see what they see. Okay, fair enough. I'm not going to complain about that, but I think were either character, and I know Matthew Lillard's character is very, very popular. Matthew Lillard is very, very popular. I know that's that. But could it be that somehow we'll get a bit of a Palpatine? Oh, actually, they didn't die. Their bodies were never found, but that was never mentioned. Or I hope it's not something like that. Like, I know it's Kevin Williamson back. He wrote the first 2 and partially wrote the third. I don't know about 4, and I don't think he was involved with 5 or 6. I could obviously check this information, but I'm just sort of speaking off the top of my head. And so he was a writer on a lot of the entries with Wes Craven directing, and he is now directing this film, as in Kevin Williamson. But yeah, I mean, I'm going to watch it. I'm going to try and get to the cinema when it comes out. I was just thinking, I think Scream 6 is the only film in the Scream series that I've actually managed to get down to the cinema to watch. So I really enjoyed that. I know some people didn't like Scream 6, but I kind of preferred it to 5. I thought 5 was decent. I thought Scream 6 was more entertaining. Just if you sort of leave your logic at the door in terms of how often people can get stabbed and survive, it's good slasher fun. And I think with slashers, you can't focus too much on realism. I know sometimes in films that's a bit of an oxymoron, especially when we talk about obviously the Halloween series, and it's like, is Michael supernatural? Is he not supernatural? How can he take such a beating as a 60-year-old man, but then come back and kill about 30 people? There's all these questions that will arise. Sometimes it is best just not to question them and just to go with it. But yeah, we did a little bit of a stream. So I really, and this one of the news is about this, I really do want to give Silent Hill F a go, but I do need to really knuckle down and finish Silent Hill 2 first. So we did a bonus podcast on Patreon. I'm going to try and get a bit more regular with the Patreon activity. So if you haven't already, please check out patreon.com/Ministry of Horror. There are free memberships, so just consider joining as a free member, because it increases the channel's visibility. And of course, if you enjoy the content, there's different scales where you can support. But just check it out. Check out the Ministry of Horror on Patreon. But we did a bonus podcast talking about Silent Hill 2, the original not Silent Hill 2, what am I talking about? The original Silent Hill on PlayStation, because that was a really formative game for me in terms of not just gaming, but horror gaming. And really kind of, I guess, shaping some of the aspects of horror that I enjoy. The not out-and-out obvious, just slashers with a body count, the psychological aspect, the terror of what you don't see but what you hear. I really think it did that very effective. And I know obviously Silent Hill 2 and 3 were more technologically advanced. And I imagine if I went back to play Silent Hill 1 now, which I do want to do, but I don't want to pay out the nose, I just need to figure out how to do this whole game emulation thing. That I imagine if I went to play it now, I'd probably be like, oh god, controls are really, junky, and the visuals are terrible because it is a PS1 game. But sometimes things are best left in the past. But there is a part of me that just always wants to revisit it because I never finished it. It was quite a hard game. But yeah, Silent Hill 2 remake, I do need to finish that. The only problem is, and I know this is a me problem, this is, first world problem, but my PlayStation is in the living room with the dogs. And our dogs are lovely. If people don't know from socials, unfortunately, on the last ever honeymoon, we lost our eldest dog, Penny. Very, very, very heartbreaking, unfortunate. But we have our boys, who are very excitable. And I don't play on my PlayStation or my PS5 that often. One, because this setup in my Ministry of Horror HQ is quite comfortable. Two, you could say, well, why don't you just move the PlayStation into the Ministry of Horror HQ? Well, that's because I don't have a very big Ministry of Horror HQ, and my desk is already a bit more cluttered than I like in terms of my work laptop, in terms of my Xbox. Switch. Again, first world problems, I'm not going to complain. The PS5, though, is a flipping big console. It takes up a lot of space, and it fits where it is downstairs in the living room. And so it's difficult to find that sweet spot where I can actually play any games on it without the dogs being irritating. I love them to bits, but when they are excitable or want your attention, or they can sense you're playing a tense or scary game, they can be incredibly irritating. And that's why I don't really play Elden Ring. One, because I'm not very good at it, and two, because whenever it would get tense, the Pooch of Horror would run over and be all like, "Dad, are you okay? Are you okay?" Like, back off. I'm trying to concentrate. And then the same thing would happen with Silent Hill too, because you're going through these really dark areas. Like, I've been on the one part of the game for probably about a year now, because I've been playing too many other things and dipping in and out of it. But I'm in the prison, which I think is in the final third of the game. And whenever I go to play it now, I'm like, right, okay, I have no idea what I need to do. It's so dark in here. And then the dogs get really irritating and jump up and stamp where they shouldn't stamp, which is very painful. So yeah, but long and short of it, I do really want to play Silent Hill F, but I have heard apparently even on easy mode it is quite punishing still. And that will actually bring us to our very first piece of news. We're going to jump into the horror news. I haven't got the audio set up, but what I will say is, welcome to the show. We're going to do some horror news, and then we're going to do some reviews. The reviews are going to be VHS Halloween, which I finally got around to watching after getting back from honeymoon, and the latest entry in the Hellhouse LLC series, Lineage. So without further ado, yeah, I can't play the music. I would play the music for Welcome to the News or This is the News, but it's not working. So no audio cue. But we're going to get into the horror news. This is the news. There you go, that's good enough. So, as with always, our horror news comes from bloodydisgusting.com. Be sure to check them out for all your written horror needs that you don't get from Minsitry of Horror. Because I don't do that much writing. Okay, I do not know where that sound effect came from. I think everything's muted on. I think everything is muted on audio outputs, but I suddenly got a weird crashing sound come through my computer, which is a bit freaky. Hey, AvaMia99, yo, what's up? Yo, what's up to you? Thank you very much for joining the stream. Be sure to give the channel a follow and check out all the socials for Ministry of Horror. Oh, that was probably what the sound effect was. It's probably probably notification of Ava Mia being a new follower. Thank you. You can tell I don't stream that often. I don't recognize the sound effects. Welcome. Yes, so this comes from Mike Wilson at Bloody Disgusting. Patch 1.10 for Silent Hill F adds new casual action difficulty. It's like they're talking to me. Oh yeah, we're talking about screen. I haven't even shown on stream the very comfy Primark screen jumper, because it's pretty cold today. Pretty cold. So, finding Silent Hill F2 tough. Not played it yet, but if it sounds tough, I'm probably not going to do very well. Not to worry, as Konami and Neobards have added a new casual action difficulty setting to the game as part of the 1.10 patch that makes traversing Ebisugoyaka a little less arduous. That's on top of the expected bug fixes, as well as an optional skip feature for select sections of New Game Plus and more. As noted in the update, the casual action difficulty will be playable when starting a game from New Game on the main menu or from a New Game Plus save file. For players who are on the story action difficulty or higher, the casual action difficulty will also be available after multiple game overs. Oh, that's pretty interesting. Also added is an optional skip feature for certain New Game Plus sections, which will allow players to bypass certain areas. The trade-off is that you would not get any of the items that you would collect in these areas if you didn't skip them, not to mention that you'd also miss out on certain achievements and trophies. The skip feature does not impact branching paths or endings. On top of these new additions, Silent Hill F has also seen tweaks made to existing systems. Hinako will take slightly less damage on hard action difficulty, as well as having her regain stamina quicker than before. Players will also see fewer enemies across multiple sections. And speaking of New Game Plus, Harrison delved into the mode that adds so much more to an already great experience. Silent Hill F is available now on PS5, Xbox Series, and PC via Steam. Okay, so yes, I mean, it's not really any secret if you've ever heard me talk about games or watched one of my gaming streams. I will play games on easy mode. I play games mainly for the story, not really for a challenge. I should do. I should get into the challenge, but I get stuck very easily. I've got Silk Song on the Switch. I've not got very far in it because I got stuck. Not because it's difficult, because I don't know where to go. I don't know what to do. I'll need to look up a guide at some point just to get over that issue. And yeah, obviously Elden Ring. Elden Ring and Souls-like games, I tend to cheese it. I tend to get to a certain point where it's like, I probably really should have focused on developing and doing a proper build, because I've managed to do okay with the boss fights, but not just the general fights up until a certain point, and then it's like I'm just running through areas to try and get from boss fight to boss fight. Yeah, so I'm not playing those properly. So long and short of it, I don't really play games for a challenge for tough mode, and I will very rarely, if ever, replay a game. Once I finish the game and I finish the story, I'm not that level of gamer to go, right, let's go into New Game Plus, let's unlock more, let's try and platinum it. That never crosses my mind. But a casual mode in a game that's reportedly quite difficult, that has my attention. I will have a look to see if it is on offer yet. I mean, this has already been quite a tight month. We've had vet bills coming out the wazoo, but let's just have a little look. Is it still ridiculously expensive? Yes, in answer to that, it's still 60 quid on physical, and I would imagine that is the same on digital, because why would it be cheaper? Yes, that's going to remain a pipe dream for now. But exciting news. So if you're a gamer that doesn't like too much of a difficulty, then maybe you've been playing Silent Hill F and finding it tough. There is hope. Next up in the news, Alien Earth officially renewed for a second season. John Squires writes, while Predator Badlands tops the box office, we've officially learnt tonight that FX has ordered up a second season of the Alien franchise television series Alien Earth. The inaugural season of creator Noah Hawley's well-received Alien Earth ended on a pretty substantial cliffhanger earlier this year, and thankfully the story will continue. Variety reports production on Season 2 of Alien Earth will begin in London in 2026, whereas the first season was shot in Thailand. Additionally, the site notes creator Noah Hawley has signed a new overall deal with FX and Disney Entertainment Television. It's been a great privilege to work with Noah for more than a decade on some of FX's best and biggest shows, and we are thrilled to extend our partnership well into the future, said John Landgraf, chairman of FX. Noah never stops surprising us with truly original stories, and his unique ability to bring them to vibrant life as director and producer, as well as writer, makes him extraordinary. We can't wait to get to work on the next season of Alien Earth, as well as some equally exciting future projects in advanced development. Okay, so yes, Alien Earth. Thank you, Avamir, for the follow on X. I will check that out and give you a follow back for sure. Let me just check notifications. Are you Epic streamers? The Epic streamers? Oh no, there you are. Like two of the posts. Freelance artist. There you go. Thank you very much. Always happy to do a follow back. No worries. Okay, so Alien Earth. Yeah, I mean Alien Earth. I think we talked about it potentially on the game stream. It is good. I enjoyed it. I do feel it's like a 7 out of 10 series for me. In terms of some highs, some head scratches, some moments that just didn't really quite sit too well. I mean, we've had some good things like the additional aliens, like the T-Oculus flashback episode to the ship that had all the aliens on it. Really, really good. First couple of episodes, the first aliens, the original, not the original, but the Xenomorphs Rampage, really, really good. Dug all that stuff for sure. Yeah, and then the some of the later stuff with the various, whether it's the kids in cyborg bodies, or I'm still wondering if it's just their memories have been copied, but it's just basically just a robot. I don't know. Yeah, I understand what they're going for. I don't know if it necessarily always hit, and sometimes could be kind of irritating. But overall, I did enjoy it. So I'm interested to see what happens in the next season. Yeah, we'll move on. Dream Eater, found footage sleepwalking movie from Eli Roth's company, heads home next week. John Squires writes, fresh off the film's limited theatrical release, Eli Roth's new company, The Horror Section, will bring the found footage film Dream Eater to at-home digital outlets next week. A terrifying found footage chiller from the Canadian genre trio behind Blind Luck Pictures, Dream Eater will be released at home on November 18th. Pre-order the film on digital now. Co-written and co-directed by Jay Draculic, Mallory Drum and Alex Lee Williams, Dream Eater stars Williams and Drum. The Horror Section teases blending raw documentary-style realism with escalating tension and scares. Dream Eater delivers an unshakable nightmare that lingers long after the final frame. The story follows Mallory, a documentary filmmaker, who heads to a remote cabin in the mountains with her boyfriend Alex to document his violent parasomnia. As his condition worsens, Mallory suspects something more sinister may be at play. As the nightmares escalate, so do the scares, right through the final frame. I mean, I enjoy a good found footage when done well. And funnily enough, one of the reviews we'll talk about later on has a history in found footage. But, you know, it's... Well, actually, both of them have got found footage. What am I talking about? VHS is found footage. So they both have deep histories in found footage. But yeah, it is also a genre where it's difficult to do something new. I mean, that's the same with anything. It's difficult to always try and be innovative. But there is a certain truth to less is more, to, you know, taking a more low-key approach, not a Skinamarink approach. I didn't like that, but a more low-key approach. So I'm always down to watch a new found footage film. But out of all of the subgenres of horror, it is the one where I think it is fairly easy to be effective to an extent, but it's also probably one of the subgenres that can just so easily be absolute trash, because it's so much easier to make a found footage film for any Tom, Dick and Harry than it is to make a film which looks like it has some production values, right? Not necessarily saying, you know, not anyone can make a vampire film or this, that and the other. You know, it just in terms of, it's a lot easier to find yourself watching some dross that has no value, because it's been spun off as, oh, new terrifying found footage film, and you watch it and you're just like, this is cack. But, you know, Eli Roth, I like some of his stuff. I enjoyed Thanksgiving, so, you know, if he's putting his name behind it, there could be something there. Fran in the chat says, need to make the alien scary again, not a pet. Yeah, and I felt that that's initially what they were doing in the first couple of episodes. And I get the focus is on the human characters, or the formerly human characters, but I do think with the Alien franchise, while it's always implicitly had a synth to Cyborg, but mainly synth aspect to it, and that looking further into that does make sense, with the Prometheus and Covenant and even Romulus, where we are bringing the synthetic, well, you could even actually trace it back to Resurrection, I suppose, where we're bringing the synthetic character more and more to the forefront. It does start to take the focus away from the terror of the alien, because if you're focusing more on a character that is generally not going to be targeted by the alien, because the alien's job is essentially reproduction and killing, and there's no reproduction element with a synth, and killing, you know, it's been seen to ignore synths, or only attack synths if it's deeming them to be a threat. So when you bring more of the focus on those characters, then it just reduces the fear element with the alien, and especially the element of making the alien a pet. I mean, I think narratively wise, if the season 2 focuses on Weyland-Yutani looking at the relationship between the xenomorphs and Wendy, and going, right, we need to weaponize this, that makes sense. But I do feel that in doing so, we do need to still focus more on its killing aspect and its reproduction aspect than on being a tool, a pet, an attack dog. because I've got no interest in that personally. Yeah, we'll have to see. Next up in the news, Ultra Extreme Meat Kills is the first Dutch horror movie to ever receive the NC-17 rating. John Squires writes, "We like pushing boundaries and hitting bloody milestones here at Bloody Disgusting, and in the wake of the theatrical release of Damien Leone's Terrifier 3, becoming the highest grossing unrated theatrical release in history, we're back for more with Martin Schmidt's Meat Kills. The extreme horror film is the first Dutch horror film to ever get slapped with an NC-17 rating, and we're thrilled to let you know that Meat Kills is now streaming only on Screenbox. What begins as an idealistic mission ends in a nightmare in a Meat Kills. When animal rights activist Mirth and her group sabotage a pig farm, the farmer's family strikes back. What follows is an unstoppable chain reaction of violence and revenge. Meat Kills premiered at Fantastic Fest 2025, where it earned positive reviews from outlets including Dread Central. The site's review raved, "Nasty, mean cinema is back, baby." The review continued, "Meat Kills is a European extreme horror classic in the making, joining the ranks of films like Calvaire, High Tension, and Frontiers. This is the evolution of European horror, which continues to deliver gnarly societal indictments that are unafraid to make the viewer uncomfortable. Dehumanization is the name of the game in Meat Kills, and it goes deeper than just a statement about animal cruelty. It's a harrowing examination of human cruelty committed in the name of a self-declared good cause. I don't think I've ever seen a movie as nihilistic and ugly as Meat Kills," writes Shade Studios. "The kills are visceral and brutal, with top-notch practical effects, lots and lots of guts and gore, with an equal amount of tension and scares. I never want to take my eyes off the screen. It's impossible to predict what will come next." Nothing is spared and no one walks away unscathed. Watch Meat Kills on Screenbox now. Well, we don't have Screenbox in the UK, so Prime, I guess it will land for rental. Let's have a look. Let's have a Meat Kills Blu-ray. The first thing that comes up is High Tension, which is very good. Let's have a look in Prime Video. No, unavailable on Prime Video. So there we go. Das ist nicht. That's German, not Dutch. But anyway, moving on. Labubu monster movie based on viral toy in the works at Sony. I don't know. I don't get what Labubus are. I don't get it. I don't understand. John Squires writes. Of course he does. One of the biggest viral sensations of 2025, Pop Mart's adorable monstrous Labubu dolls, are getting their own movie over at Sony, The Hollywood Reporter let us know. THR reports Sony Pictures picked up the screen rights to the Chinese doll brand with the aim of making a movie and, in success, launching a franchise. No producer or filmmaker is attached at this stage, as the deal was just signed this week. It is also too early to tell whether the potential movie would be live action or animated. Artist Casing Lung originally created the Labubu doll, which exploded in popularity here in the United States when Pop Mart brought the blind box dolls into American stores. Wikipedia explains, the series features zoomorphic elves with exaggerated facial expressions, of which the central figure is Labubu, a monster with sharp teeth, large ears, and a scruffy appearance. The dolls are being compared to Disney's Stitch from Lilo and Stitch, as well as Gizmo from Gremlins, two similarly lovable little pop culture monsters. Celebrities including Rihanna, Kim Kardashian, Blackpink's Lisa, and WWE superstar Rhea Ripley helped drive the viral craze that turned the Labubu doll into a must-have collectible. I don't get it. To be honest, I've only ever heard of Labubu from watching a show on YouTube called Financial Audit with Caleb Hammer. Me and my wife, we love that show. I've sort of converted her to watching it, to the extent we actually got our first YouTube membership because we wanted to watch the post shows. It's good content. And it's only from there that I started hearing about Labubus and getting to know that it's a big craze and people have gone into debt for them. Don't get it. To me, it looks... Well, one, they just look like these little scruffy toys. And the fact that it's a craze, all that tells me is Is it something that people genuinely love? They look at them and go, "Oh wow, that to me looks so cool. I want that and various different iterations of it. I want to collect them. I love them so much I want to form a collection." Is it that, or, hear me out here, is it a thing where it got pushed by certain celebrities or certain, social medias, pushed as, "Oh man, Labubus, they're cool. We're telling you they're cool. We love them, and these celebrities love them because we've paid them an endorsement. We've paid them, some revenue, whatever, a bit of a commish. So you now think they're cool, and then the general populace that can't think for themselves go, well, I want them. I've been told that they're cool and I need to collect them, so now I want to get all of them." And then people who are really bad with money, and I'm not great with money, but people who are really bad with money go, I have to have them because I love them so much. I don't actually love them. I just have been conditioned to love them, so therefore I feel like, that's the pessimistic part of me. But I see these things and see that they become trends, and I just think, but why? But why? At any point does someone go, "Okay, so what can I do with them?" No, okay, I can't do anything with them. Okay, so do they look like they got a really cool style and design? No, they're kind of shaggy, crap-looking dolls that have just slightly different faces and maybe it's a different color. Okay, so they don't look great, and I can't do anything with them. Okay, I rest my case. We'll move on. I've already given that whole thing too much time. Okay, so 7 must-have horror collectibles, including Pearl, a Pearl tree topper, and Scars of Dracula on 4K UHD. Alex DiVincenzo writes, "Killer Collectibles highlights the most exciting new horror products announced each and every week, from toys and apparel, I love my apparel, to artwork, records, and much more. Here's the coolest collectibles. There's a Pearl tree topper from A24. Pearl is a star, so she belongs at the top of a Christmas tree. A24 has turned the Mia Goth character into a 10-inch handmade felted tree topper for $43. You can also get the tree topper with the X Trilogy ornament set, including a bloody axe, Theodore the Alligator, and Mother Goose Coke jar for $74 total." I mean, it looks kind of neat, but I suppose unless you're a horror fan, you're not going to know that that's Pearl. Unless you know that the person who's got on top of the tree is a huge horror fan and loves the Pearl, the Maxine trilogy, the Pearl trilogy, you won't know that that's that. Scars of Dracula 4K UHD from Kino Lorber. Scars of Dracula will be released on 4K UHD and Blu-ray December 9th. The 1976th installment in the Hammer Films Dracula series has received a new HDR Dolby Vision master from a 4K scan of the 35mm original camera negative. Bunch of special features. Roy Ward Baker directs from a script by Anthony Hines. Christopher Lee stars as Count Dracula with Dennis Waterman, Jenna Hanley, and Christopher Matthews. I think I've seen Scars of Dracula. I've seen a few of the Christopher Lee Dracula films. I do enjoy them. I do enjoy the Hammer Dracula films. More so than the Bela Lugosi one. I know, sacrilege. It's the original then, the OG Universal one. It's not my favourite. Anyway, the Shining sweater from Fright Rags. Fright Rags has faithfully recreated the Apollo 11 sweater worn by Danny Torrance in Stanley Kubrick's The Shining. The custom-knit heavyweight acrylic sweater costs $75. The Stephen King adaptation will celebrate its 45th anniversary with an IMAX release on December 12th. Well, if you remember the film, the Apollo 11 jumper that Danny wears is ugly as hell, but you can buy it now if you want. For $75 as well. Anyway, American Psycho posters by Hans Woody. Yeah, they look pretty cool. I mean, it's bare ass on your wall. I mean, we've got anyway. We'll move on. Weapons apparel from Ruckin Fotten. That's a pretty cool name, actually. And this weapons apparel does look cool. Ah, shit! I can't buy any more apparel. We've got too much that we've come back from the honeymoon with, and I am going to have to sell not the new stuff, but I'm going to have to go through and pick out some older clothes that I probably won't wear again to sell to make space, because it's over the top. But yeah, this apparel does look badass, but yeah, I cannot do it. I cannot justify it. But yeah, there's t-shirts, $35, all over print tees, which do look cool, for $63. Long sleeves, $45. Pullover hoodies, $65. Dad hats, I don't know what dad hat is, $37. And throw blankets, and one of the blankets has a massive Aunt Gladys face on it from the scene, the flash scare when Aunt Gladys's face is on the bed. It's terrifying. Moving on, horror pops from Funko. I mean, I don't follow Funko Pop, but if that's your sort of thing, there's Pennywise, Tim Curry Pennywise. There's Sam from Trick or Treat, the Flaming Pumpkin, Chucky, Regan. There we go. Right, and that's that. That's a bit of a damp squib. And then finally, Battle Royale celebrates its 25th anniversary with a Steelbook 4K UHD from Lionsgate Limited. Alex DiVincenzo writes, so it's got artwork by Oliver Barrett. The 4-disc set is available for $40 exclusively from Lionsgate Limited. Both the 113-minute theatrical version and the 121-minute director's cut are presented in 4K with Dolby Vision HDR and 5.1 Dolby True HD audio. Tons of special features there. In the near future, the economy has collapsed, unemployment has soared, and juvenile crime has exploded. Fearful of the nation's youth, the Japanese government passes the BR law. Each year, a 9th grade class is sent to a remote island where they'll be locked into exploding neck collars, given a random weapon, and forced to hunt and kill each other until there is only one survivor left. The 2000 Japanese dystopian thriller is directed by Kinji Fukasaku and written by Kenta Fukasaku, based on the 1999 novel by Kyosun Takami. I have actually got the novel, and I just haven't got around to reading it yet, because my TBR list pile is ridiculous, quite frankly. It is, it's a lot. But yeah, that is it, Ghouls and Fiends, for the horror news. We are going to swing right along, swing from the carousel to the horror reviews. We're keeping this show streamlined because I want to do a watch party, and I know what I'm like when I do a show that goes too long. Get to the watch party time, mans get tired. Not tired at the moment. I have beers and I have snacks, so I'm prepared. So, as with all the reviews, what we'll do is we'll talk about film, we'll talk about a little bit about the plot. Won't really go into spoiler territory as much as is possible. I'll talk about the highs and the lows, and then I'll give it a score out of 10. So we're going to start off with VHS Halloween. This one came out at Halloween, so we're a couple of weeks out from its release, but I kind of figured we should review this one first and just get into it. So it's a 2025 American found footage horror anthology film produced by Bloody Disgusting, the sequel to VHS Beyond, and it's the 8th installment in the VHS franchise. Directed by Brian M. Ferguson, Casper Kelly, Michelin Pitt Norman, R.H. Norman, Alex Ross Perry, Paco Plaza, and Anna Vlokovich. So it's probably the first one, or one of the more recent ones, to not have as many known directors, I guess, would be my assumption, because a few of these have Wikipedia pages, but I don't recognize them. Oh, Francisco Plaza Trinidad is the co-creator of Wreck, so that's cool. Anyway, the film is presented as an anthology of 5 films built into a narrative, which acts as its 6th film. Themed around Halloween, each short is linked together with the concept of footage, as every segment is from various VHS tapes that depict different scenarios of horror stories. So, Normally, with a film, I would sort of talk about the opening of the film, just kind of getting the gist of the plot. But with an anthology, it's kind of difficult to do that without going into each one. What I will say is the weakest story is the framing narrative, the kind of the wraparound story. I feel with this, and similar to VHS Beyond and VHS 85, I think 85 was the one prior to that. I always get the years mixed up of them. So we had 94, which is good, 99, which was decent, 85, yeah, and Beyond. So I feel with 85 and Beyond, they've sort of ditched this aspect of the wraparound stories really having a connection, and unless that connection was there and I just missed it, which is entirely possible, but for the wraparound stories to have a connection to the stories that are being played out. So in the first film, it was this group had broken into this house, and the house was full of these like TVs with the VHS tapes. So it makes sense that the VHS tapes are kind of from that location. Like, why are all these crazy tapes? Is this real? What's going on? And that was explored a bit more, I suppose, in either 94 or 99. I can't remember off the top of my head, but one of them had this whole police raid aspect, which focused in on that again. So I think that might have been 94, perhaps. But the last few have had this wraparound story, and it doesn't really seem to hold any sort of connection, which kind of takes away the aspect of what's the purpose. Because an anthology film is usually people telling tales, or there is something to connect each of these segments, why you're watching this, basically. So yeah, the wraparound in VHS Halloween is the weakest. It's got this company that's planning to launch a new soda called Diet Phantasma, but there is something in the juice that is supernatural, and it causes, for the various testings, it's causing a lot of deaths. We've got the story Coochie Coochie Coo, which I'll talk about the titles of the stories, and I won't really go too much into them, but Coochie Coochie Coo is these two girls trick-or-treating, coming across a house that was not there before when they previously had gone past it, but it now seems to be here, and there's very supernatural goings on. There's also been a girl that had gone missing. Decent tale, this one. It has got some quite creepy visuals, I'll give it that. The only negative for this is something which I do think affects a lot of found footage films from like the last 10 to 20 years, is a bit of an over-reliance on cheap digital damage effects to show when people are running and to like get the corner of the eye imagery. So one of the things that's quite effective with found footage is turning around, something being there, going around a corner and something was there but it's moving away, running away from something, and it's all just shaky cam and then the camera catches something. Sometimes there is a reliance to have this kind of cheap digital damage effect where it all gets stuttery and something's happening. There's a bit of an over-reliance on that in this one, but overall it's got some creepy visuals. It's a decent little tale. No negatives other than the digital damage. Ut Supra Sic Infra, about an abandoned mansion in Madrid, home to a famous Italian medium in the past, but there's been a bizarre mass murder during a Halloween party where eyeballs were removed and are nowhere to be found. And there's only one survivor being questioned by the police. This is decent, and the eyeball attacks are uncomfortable to watch. It kind of gave me a bit of a feeling of When Evil Lurks, in terms of that sort of on-screen violence that just makes you kind of go, oh god, this is well done, but fuck, Yeah, I don't really have any negatives in this one. I mean, it is all in Spanish, so I had to sort of get my brain into the reading subtitles mode, but that's a me problem. That's a put your phone down and focus on the film problem. But overall, decent. We have these various interludes of the wraparound story. Fun Size is a parallel reality short. It's following this group who are basically trying to make their own prank videos, which is the explanation for why they all have cameras. And they end up finding themselves in a parallel reality run by a character called Fun Size, who's this humanoid being with a candy cane as a face, candy mascot, and Fun Size is brilliant. Fun Size is one of those shorts that just, it has that right level of humor and wackiness without being too much in one direction or too much in the horror direction. It's really well done. I would say that's definitely one of the highlights. Kid Print is, so there's been a number of disappearances and murders of childs and teenagers in an American town, and there's a local video store that's doing this thing called Kid Prints, which is documentary videos of the local kids to be used as ID to help search for missing kids, because quite often what's happening, kids going missing, but they didn't have like up-to-date sort of photos, you know, and obviously kids, teenagers growing up, they will change quite quickly. So this idea being, I don't know, it's a bit of a weird hackneyed approach, but this is one of the ones where there's a real Terrifier feel to this in terms of the gore. Also around the concept being missing kids, it's one of those things where it's like, oh man, you're sort of tiptoeing a line of what is acceptable or appropriate to have as a subject matter in a film. And obviously, you know, these things happen. You know, it's absolutely terrible and whatnot. But when you then factor that in with gratuitous gore and violence and torturing, it's like, no. It's pushing the boundaries a bit. But it's very well done, very dark, very grimy. Very uncomfortable viewing, but overall it was quite a decent tale and really quite creepy. And then we have Home Haunt, which was overall it was decent. It's Keith loves setting up an elaborate haunted house with his wife and son in their home every year, but then our teenage Zach no longer wants to participate in the family tradition. He's kind of getting bullied because of the character he has to play, which is like this hunchback. They pick up this haunted recording, which ends up releasing an actual witch, and the witch is massacring everyone, tearing limb from limb, and the house, which is a monster house, begins coming to life, and overall pretty decent. So in terms of where does this land in the VHS franchise, and what score would I give it out of 10? Well, with a VHS film, with any sort of anthology film, you're always going to get some good stories, some bad stories. There's always going to be highs and lows, but the good thing is generally there's always something for everyone. The VHS franchise is one that I'll always look out for the next release, but it's a franchise that has its highs and lows. The first one I think was incredible. The second one has some really good moments. I've not even properly watched the third one because I've always heard it's terrible. I started watching it a little while ago and it really is bad. 94 I really enjoyed. 99 was decent. 85 I didn't really like for the most part, and Beyond I didn't really like for the most part. But VHS Halloween, mainly killer, not that much filler. The wraparound story was the weaker story, has to be said. I do wish that they would kind of go back to having the wraparound story have some sort of connective tissue to the stories that are going on, because then it just makes it make a bit more sense rather than just being, well, here's a story that's going to appear at various points in the film intermingled with other stories. You know, it just gives it a little bit more purpose other than you just watching a collection of short films, for the only connective tissue being they've got a VHS style to them. You know, but overall I really enjoyed it. 8 out of 10 for VHS Halloween. If you haven't already got Shudder, check it out. And I would say if you don't have Shudder, I don't know how quick the delay is or the turnaround time is. A lot of Shudder stuff does seem to be appearing on Tubi, ITVX, I think, Channel 5. I don't know which ones they have deals with or how that all works, but some Shudder content is appearing on these services. So, you know, just keep an eye out and you can get some without having to pay the extra wonga. So that's VHS Halloween. Next up, Hellhouse LLC Lineage. 2025 American horror film written and directed by Stephen Cognetti. It's the fifth and final installment in the Hellhouse LLC franchise. The film sees the return of Vanessa Shepherd, portrayed by Elizabeth Vermillier, who is haunted by visions and nightmares in the town of Abaddon. As mysterious deaths occur around her, she uncovers connections to the Abaddon Hotel and the Carmichael Manor, delving into decades of unexplained murders. Okay. So Hell House is an interesting franchise. I went into watching the first Hell House a little while ago, quite a while ago now, with a lot of hype because I'd heard it's one of the best found footage films. It's right up there. Terrifying. Did nothing for me. I found myself going, where's the scares? Where's the tension? Where's the creeping dread? What? And yeah, I didn't really feel that bothered to watch the sequels. And then Hellhouse LLC, The Carmichael Manor, the prequel, landed on Shudder. And with the fact that I'd seen the first film, but I didn't really enjoy it, so I didn't take a lot of it in. I watched The Carmichael Manor. Just watched it for what it was. I didn't really have the knowledge for the connections of how this connects into the franchise, the other films in the series I hadn't seen. But overall, that didn't really matter because it was a really effective found footage horror. And it knew how to use its characters for creating dread and terror. Particular scene is when one of the characters wakes up in the bedroom in the Carmichael Manor, and the clown ghost, the clown mannequin with the black dripping eyes, is just in his room staring at him. As he goes to leave, he turns around and its position has changed. Goes down the hallway and he stops and turns around and it's in the hallway. And it's very, very simple, but it's very, very effective. Less is more. Focusing in on that character's terror with the jagged breathing and the fact that this thing seems to be following him, but it's not moving when he's watching it. And that's why a lot of people were terrified from Doctor Who with the Weeping Angels. These stone things which shouldn't move, but whenever you look away from them, they get closer and closer to you. And that's what happened in Hellhouse LLC, the Carmichael Manor, really, really effectively. And then when you do have a moment when you see some movement, it's just like, oh, fuck this. Even though logically you'd think, well, it must be moving if it's getting from one location to the next location to the next location. But because you've already built up that terror of, oh, fuck, it's getting closer. It's getting closer. And when you then actually see it move, even just a step or a movement of the arm or a tilt of the head, that's enough. Very, very effective. So anyway, I then eventually went and I watched Hellhouse LLC 2, the Abaddon Hotel, I think it's called. That's fucking terrible. It really was bad. So I still haven't gotten around to watching Hellhouse LLC 3, Lake of Fire, I believe it's called. Because I had heard that 2 and 3 were really bad. But, I sort of thought, well, at some point I do need to watch the third, because I have found that maybe I need to revisit the first one because of enjoying the Carmichael Manor so much. So Hellhouse LLC Lineage got announced, and initially there was, I saw the trailer for it. I thought the trailer looked quite creepy. There was initial buzz about it, but then as screeners of the film were coming out, or people were seeing it, I should say, because I didn't get a screener, there was talk of, oh god, it's really bad. Oh, negative. It's ditched found footage. The whole thing is that it's no longer a found footage film. There's some found footage elements, but really it's now not found footage. Oh, that's taken away from the whole point of, Hellhouse LLC. I get that complaint. I understand that, but I also think if you feel that as a filmmaker you're being constrained by the franchise, not the franchise, the subgenre's limitations, why not step out of that? Why not focus on a more cinematic approach to the story? No big deal, right? Big deal. This is bad. It overdoes it so much with the clown. The clown was one of those creepy antagonists in the first, to an extent, but I'd say mainly because I enjoyed it more, the prequel, the Carmichael Manor, because it would just be a case of you going through the house and you think, oh god, what's that doing there? And you know that it's not just going to stay in this one room that's been found, and it's going to make its way around, and people are going to go missing. But the fact is, you don't see what happens to them. You don't know what happens to them. But with this one, it's so overused, and you see it move more, and there's a higher body count, but then you don't actually see what it's doing. So what is the point? If you're taking away the fear element by overusing it and overseeing it, but then it's just grabbing people. I don't know. It's kind of like you're either going all in and making this more of a violent approach if you're going to be seeing more and it's going to be featuring more, or you don't and you keep it more in the shadows and you keep its appearances more staggered in the film. I mean, it's not completely terrible. There is one jump scare that I did think was really effective when Vanessa wakes up in her room. She hears a noise. She then goes and hides by her bed. She looks over the other side of the bed and she sees the clown shoes. She then hears this loud movement on top of her bed. She's looking up, and it's kind of like a scene out of I think it's like Pulse or Siren. I can't remember. There's a famous Asian horror film with these ghosts, and this is one scene in particular with this ghost approaching with this weird walk, really really creepy walk, and this character goes and hides behind a sofa, and it slowly puts its hands over, and its head appears, really really creepy. It's kind of got a bit of an it's kind of, this scene is a little bit inspired by that, I would say. But it is quite creepy because she looks up and you can just see the top of the bed, and then all of a sudden these clown hands appear and his head appears, and it very quickly cuts to her waking up from a nightmare. That was an effective scare, but overall it was just a messy film. They were trying to do too much and just not really achieving any of it. I think it was dull as well. Like, it's almost 2 hours long and it dragged. It really dragged. Okay, I've had to change the score a couple of times. I'm going to give it 3.75 out of 10 because I did just feel that 4 is a little bit generous. 3, I think, was probably a little bit too harsh, but I've given other films that I've found something more enjoyable in a 4. Because they're not quite middle of the road, but there's been something there, or something I can commend. And in this, it just feels like the goodwill that had been generated for me as a horror fan with the Carmichael Manor has kind of just been, not really taken in the direction that I found that interesting or enjoyable. So Hellhouse LLC Lineage, I'm going to give it 3.75 out of 10. Not great. Anyway, ghouls and fiends, stick around if you're watching live on twitch.tv/Tezz, and if you're not, be sure to give the Twitch channel a follow. Consider giving the channel a sub if you have subscriptions. You get a free subscription each month if you have Amazon Prime, so be sure to link it up and maybe give the channel a little sub. Give some love to old T-Bone. But of course, follow us on other socials. TikTok, we're over 800 followers now. I think we're on 812 or something last time I checked. So we've finally broken into that 800. So we're getting closer and closer to 1,000. These are all baby steps in terms of social media growth. But hey, I still remember not that long ago we'd been on 50 followers for a long ass time. So being at over 800 is just incredible for me. So thank you very much, Ghouls and Fiends, in that regard. Be sure to check out the Discord. It's under the Wrestling Arena. At some point I will need to just create fresh a Ministry of Horror Discord, because I guess for newbies it's probably quite difficult to be like, well, here's a link, but the link is for the Wrestling Arena and it's a sub channel in wrestling. I don't know, maybe something I need to consider. I also have to give a shout out to a new Discord that I got added from followers on Ministry of Horror on TikTok. mutual follows. Macabre Mortis Book Club. It's a horror-focused book club, and loads of really cool members on there, and a few of them, since me getting added to that, have then followed the channel. So thank you very much, whatever socials you're following on. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, all that good stuff. YouTube, give the YouTube channel a follow. And of course Patreon, if you fancy giving a free membership for the channel, where I occasionally blog, but also the bonus content is on the paid levels. Minsitry of Horror on patreon.com. Thank you very much. Stick around if you're watching live, and I'll catch you again next time.